Good evening and welcome to our July 13th board meeting. You will probably notice there's some absentees up there, so in a minute we'll get to that. But I do want to welcome you to this and remind everyone that these meetings are recorded as per Montana law and will be published on our website. So with that, I'd ask you to rise and for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. With that, Superintendent Hoyer, would you call the roll for me, please?
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Decons. Gordon Johnson,
Excused.
Kim Skornagowski,
Excused.
Bill Bronson, Craig Duff,
Excused.
Paige Henning, here. Marley Sunchild, Amy Thompson, here. You have a quorum this evening, sir.
Thank you. With that, you probably have noticed that our chair and vice chair are absent, both excused today. So at this point in time, I will ask for a motion to appoint a chair pro tem for this meeting.
Mr. Business Director,
Yes.
I move that Trustee Bill Bronson be appointed to serve as Chair Pro Tem for this meeting of the Board of Trustees.
Thank
Second.
you, Trustee Henning. Second. Yep. With that, is there any comment from the board? Comment from the public? Seeing none, I will ask for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it, and Trustee Bronson will be the chair for today's meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Decons. The first item we have here is adoption of the agenda. Do we have a motion to adopt the agenda as presented?
I move that we adopt the agenda as presented.
Second. Any comments from the public regarding this at all? Any comments? Any comments? Any discussion by the board? There being none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Trustees, you have before you the consent agenda, item 6 on the agenda. What is your pleasure?
I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any public comment on any of the items under the consent agenda? Any public comment? Any public comment? Any comment or questions from any members of the Board of Trustees? There being none, the motion is before you to approve the consent agenda as submitted. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. That brings us to item 7, communication and the superintendent report. Mrs. Hoyer.
Well, good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board, members of our staff in our community. You have in front of you the superintendent's report for this first and only meeting in July. One of the things I do want to remind you is that when all of the data is collected from summer school, we just closed our jumpstart and we're getting that final data through, that we will be giving you a comprehensive report of that achievement later this summer. But I do want to start with a big thank you to Executive Directors Boyd and Mainwaring and then Hadley Boyd. For the second year in a row, they went around to all of our schools. They placed cones, oftentimes multiple cones based on neighbor feedback, and signs at every school and property in the district that said no fireworks on school property and that our property was under surveillance. And so thank you very much for the work that they did right before 4th of July. I know that there is a new city ordinance, but this is just a gentle reminder that we don't allow fireworks on our property. Our neighbors appreciate it. Our custodians and engineers greatly appreciate it because it usually is quite the mess to clean up. So what I want to do for the majority of my report is share with you the project status of some of the different projects, and I will do a chunk of them this board meeting and then a chunk for each of the August board meetings as well, and take pictures so you can actually see what's going on. A big thank you to Brent and Jack who provide us those project status report pages for every one of our buildings that are undergoing something this summer, because it's a very, very busy time for buildings and grounds. So this is Chief Joseph Elementary. If you remember when you walk into Chief Joseph, there used to be that cinder block wall that had the holes and the gaps in it. It really did not allow for security or confidentiality when things were going on inside the office. And so we are replacing that with a solid wall and a roll-up window for visitors to come to, and that allows for a little bit more security in that space for both the adults, the parents, and the students that are there. The next one is CM Russell High School. In all of my years visiting CM Russell High School, I did not realize, I've never been on the stage when all the lights are on, realize that it was blue and magenta. And so you can see that the sound clouds are being repainted to an off-white color. There's beiges that are also going up in there. The sound cloud, if you look at the bottom right-hand side, it has been, or it's all white, and then there's that magenta accent, for lack of a better term. It has been painted black, so it blends in and you can't see that. We were hoping to take that down, but what we found is that it actually serves as a cover and a secure place for a lot of wiring for the sound and the lighting systems to go through. And so that is the work in progress, but a big thank you to our painters who are doing much of that work right now. It looks great. The goal is to have it done, I believe, by the holiday concerts. I'm looking over at Mrs. Mainwaring. She was there just today. I know Mr. Cubbage, you taught in that building for a long time, so this is a big difference. And some work is also being done at the sound booth in the back of the auditorium as well. So we'll continue to give updates to that. This won't be the one shot that we have for the CM Russell High School. District office building, you may have noticed that we have a new ADA compliant ramp and door. The ADA compliant ramp replaces the old ramp that's right outside of this door. There's also an automatic door opening, but we're waiting for the electricians to come in to give us the big dot that you can push to access this door. What that will allow us to do then is to lock the far door. We have no security down at that far end, and so anybody could walk into this building and have access to the entire building. If we limit it to one door, then we do have the automatic visitor window right there. And just some more eyes on visitors when they come into us. And so this is some of the work that's being done. We also have some office space that is being placed in some of our conference rooms in the back of the office as well. Lewis and Clark Elementary, this was as close as I could get because I have it all kind of cordoned off, but they are getting a new roof, which you approved earlier this spring, as well as door handles that are going in. So you can see the crews lifting up those giant white bales of the roofing components, and they are working hard to get that done. New principal in the building, just in time for a lot of rain recently the last month, so we had some complications due to that, but we're moving along fairly well with Lewis and Clark. The next one is actually Valley View Elementary. And so I took pictures of that silver conduit. Eventually that will be painted, so it'll blend in with the ceiling and with the tiles on the walls in the hallways. But this is for our fire alarms. And so we'll get the fire alarms placed in there. That's the number one thing for our students, is to get that upgrade. If you remember from one of our safety reports, this was one of our buildings that had the original fire alarms in it, if I remember right. From way back when. And so when the building was built. And so this will be a great upgrade. And then our painters will get over there and will repaint everything for us. And so it doesn't stand out quite as much. And a big thank you to the construction crew that was there. I was talking with a gentleman who were walking in with all of their equipment. As I walked in, there are students everywhere. Trustee Henning was there as well. Helping with some stuff with students, and so they're doing this in occupied space during the summer. And if you know schools in the summer, it's a whole different level of energy. In the summer, I believe they were getting ready for a pool day or going outside with something to cool down. So there was a lot of excitement. If you have not been to West Elementary and seen the beautiful new playground, this was a project that was brought to us through a donor. You do need to go take a look at it. So I was over there. There's a large mud puddle right now in it. So the last piece for this, I believe, is to do the wood chips or the pea gravel. I believe it's going to be wood chips in that area that is just mud. We did have caution tape around it because we really didn't want students using it until that soft ground was there. But there were balls and there were footprints through the mud puddle, and you could tell that they had been playing in the mud as well. But it's a beautiful new accessible playground. This is for older students. in that school, and there's a shade which is probably being used right now by a lot of kids. And there's also some artificial turf that you see on the other side of that shade structure there, for students to be able to access this playground during all types of weather. And so we're really excited for that opportunity. Very, very thankful.
Mrs.
to-
Boyer, can I add to that
Yeah,
really quick?
absolutely.
Just this last week, Brent and Jack over at Buildings and Grounds, they did evaluate why those mud puddles were there. They'll be putting in some drainage there to loop it out so that water will move away. Otherwise, you just would have the mud coming up through the wood chips. So that's in progress to make sure. Just weren't quite prepared for 3 inches of rain coming down off the building and the asphalt hitting there. And when it happens, it shows up. Thank you.
There were footprints. The water had settled, but you could see the footprints in the mud. Someone had definitely jumped with both feet all the way through the mud puddle. Probably had a great time. Their ball was also left behind. East Middle School is having domestic water copper pipe run completely through the building. As I was talking to one of the custodians and the engineers there, they were highly complimentary of the company that we are working with to do this. They said they're incredibly easy to work with, easy to work around, and they clean up after themselves, which they were really excited. But you will see domestic water all the way through bathrooms, drinking fountains, classroom sinks, you name it. The water is all being replaced. Lots and lots of copper pipe being sweated in that building. So kudos to everybody who is working on that. Speaking of buildings and grounds, we are working on directly with policy 8451, which is the naming of buildings and grounds, in honor of people or in memoriam of people who have served in our community and our district and made a difference in the lives of the buildings that they served in. This first came about when Jan passed away in 2021. So I put a little reminder in my calendar that wherever I was is to remind the district that it was 5 years since his passing in June of 2021. East Middle School is also looking for a space to name in honor of Kenny Maddox, and Kenny passed away during COVID in November of 2020. You can see the totality of 8451 up there, but what it says is that the superintendent shall appoint a committee to oversee the process of the naming of spaces within our district. So I have started that process already. We're working on this fall and winter time. It'll be under the guidance of Executive Director Lance Boyd. And we'll be putting those committees together and working through that process of looking for a space up here at the district office to name in honor of Jan Cahill, and then East Middle School a space to name in honor of Kenny Maddox. And so we are excited about that. It's hard to believe that it has been 5 years plus for Kenny. And so look forward to just recognizing and honoring people moving forward. Staffing update is your data for the day. We currently have 14 positions open. This includes resource positions at Chief Joseph, Longfellow, Whittier, and West. West has 2. General classroom positions at Giant Springs, Longfellow, Lincoln, and Loy. East Middle School has a science position. Paris Gibson Education Center has a resource position. Great Falls High School has 2 positions. They have 1 resource and 1 math. And CM Russell has 1 math as well. So a total of 14 positions. I know they were in the process of hiring last week. They're also, I'm looking over at Mrs. Mainwaring, hiring last week. Hired 1 this morning, so down to 13. We will continue that process moving forward. And then just in closing, I just wanted to update the board a little bit. As you're all aware, that we as a leadership team have been working together on some situations with some of our schools. And I wanted to assure you as a board that we're taking steps, that we're evaluating processes and school board policies. We're auditing situations. You will see coming to you this fall and through our new strategic planning process, a new way that we're going to be auditing both safety, lockdown, shelter in place, release with care, but also other situations that come forward that could challenge the safety and security of our buildings in a variety of things. And so we will be doing that, working through and then using our schools to become the teacher of the greater leadership group up here through roundtable discussions, facilitating those trainings. So we're working to re-educate our leaders and our staff and close, and in some cases establish communication gaps within and outside of our community. And then I have started the process of reaching out with some local legislators because we have some work that we have to do on the legislative front. It's a legislative year, so we're going to take advantage of that and see if we can do some improvements there as well, to provide us with some more support within the schools too. So I will keep the board updated as we go through that process. And with that, that is my superintendent's report, the first one of 2026-2027. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Hoyer. Do any members of the board have any questions for Mrs. Hoyer this evening? None? Very well. We'll proceed to item B under communication, audience communication. I do not have any requests to speak. Are there any members of the public that wish to offer any public comment on any items not on the agenda this evening? Very well, we'll move on to item 8, action items. The first one being a transfer of budgeted funds. And Mr. Decons, I believe you have the report.
Thank you, Trustee Bronson. I am here tonight to talk to you a little bit about the compensated absences report brought to us by MCA 20-9-512, which requires us to have some sort of way of paying out individuals should they retire or resign over the next year. We have to put that money in there kind of as a little bit of a savings account so we know we'll have it at the end of the year. This is for non-teaching positions. And when you go through that process, we do it twice a year, not just for the non-teaching. With our auditors, we have to do everyone within our district for employment and what it would cost. But this particular one, when we talk about the cost to our district, we try to keep it as close to the max as possible without going over. So that is at 30%. So with this, I will be asking for 101 general fund transfer to compensated absences fund, which is 121, and general fund 201 to 221 at the elementary. The 30% or the 101 account will be $234,689.48 to the elementary, and then $101,501.71 for the high school fund. So with that, I would ask you to approve the transfer of those amounts from the elementary general fund to the compensated absences fund, and the high school general fund to the compensated absences fund.
Thank you, Mr. Decons. Do we have a motion?
I move that we approve the transfer of $234,689.48 from the Elementary General Fund 101 to the Elementary Compensated Absences Fund 121, and a $101,501.71 transfer from the High School General Fund Budget 201 to the High School Compensated Absences Fund 221 as presented by Mr. Decons.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any public comment on the motion? Any public comment? Any public comment? Any questions from members of the Board of Trustees? There being none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
We will now move on to item B under action items 7. Mrs. Mainwaring, I believe you are going to do an introduction for us.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board, Superintendent Hoyer. Becky Frisbee, our secondary curriculum coordinator, is here with a second reading of the Introduction to Automotive, No Understanded Dues, and then she'll be happy to ask to have you approve those.
Mr. Chair, trustees, Superintendent Hoyer, and community. Today I bring you the second read of our Intro to Auto KUDs. Since the first read, those KUDs have been available both in the curriculum office as well as online. And since that time, there has been no comments made. As a reminder, adding the set of KUDs to the freshman introduction to industrial tech provides one more options for our students to try out a career tech area. It allows both more opportunities for our students and more flexibility for our buildings in how they schedule that FTE to that 4-section rotation. At this point, I ask that you approve those KUDs as written. And if you have questions, I can answer those too.
Do we have a motion?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I move that we approve the introduction to automotive KUDs as presented.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any public comment at all on the motion? Any public comment? Any public comment? Any questions for Ms. Frisbee from the Board of Trustees? You lucked out tonight. All right, there being no questions and no other public comment, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Mrs. Frisbee, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we'll now move on to item C for a proposed amendment to the 26-27 school calendar. Mrs. Burzum, I believe you have this.
Good evening, Chair Pro Tem Bronson, Superintendent Hoyer, members of the board, members of the community. I am here tonight to talk about the 26-27 calendar amendment. During 24-25, during that school year and throughout that summer, the district and GFPA, Great Falls Education Association, worked through the process of modifying the contact minutes over the course of the year to have non-student contact days at the end of quarters 1, 2, and 3 in order to provide time for teachers in their classrooms for record keeping and professional development across all employee groups. The district and GFPA believe the end of quarter non-student contact days this last school year, 25-26, was beneficial for the staff and students. The non-student contact days will be provided in the same format as agreed to for previous years and incorporates building level leadership teams being more involved, identifying topics in the future. There will be 3 hours of professional development, 3 hours of record keeping for teachers in their classrooms, and 1 hour lunch. The end of the quarter days for the 26-27 school year are Friday, October 30th, 2026, Friday, January 15th, 2027, and Thursday, March 25th, 2027. I am requesting the board to approve the amended 26-27 school calendar to provide for end of the quarter non-student contact days for quarters 1, 2, and 3 as presented.
Thank you, Mrs. Burzum. Do we have a motion?
I move that we approve the amended 2026-2027 GFPS school calendar to provide for end of quarter non-student contact days for quarters 1, 2, and 3 as presented.
Second.
Is there any public comment on the motion? Mr. Cubbage.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you, and the record will so note that. Any other public comment at all? Any other public comment? Any questions from the Board of Trustees? There being none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll now move on to item D, which is probably the more extensive item on the action item agenda. And hopefully you've all had an opportunity to review this. For the benefit of the public, members of the Montana School Board Association each year are asked to vote by district on a number of different items related to the general operations of MTSBA. There are 8 particular items before you that were presented during our meeting in June. Because we did not have a quorum of the school districts at that meeting, we are obligated to put these out to all of the member districts for an electronic vote in advance of our MCEL meeting in October of this year. All of these items are fairly, I think, routine. The ones that I would note, though, that require some special action on the part of each district. Item number 8. We have a situation, we have a representative from the Montana School Boards Association who represents us on the Montana High School Association, or MHSA, Board of Directors. The individual who was doing that unfortunately lost her election for the Board of Trustees in her area. That required us to seek nominations from other MTSBA board members who would be interested. We ended up with two, Iris Killeagle, who is a director from Dodson School District, and Tom Biltine, who is from the Butte Public Schools. If we are to take action on that tonight, we will have to indicate a preference for one or the other, or to abstain from voting. The others are item 9 and 10. Jennifer Hoffman, who is currently an MTSBA director from Billings, she has been nominated as president-elect of the organization and would take office in the next year, 2027-2028. And Stephanie Esch, who is a trustee in Stevensville, has been nominated for the MTSBA vice president position. With respect to both of those, again, we either have to approve, oppose, or abstain from a vote on those particular issues. Before I ask your pleasure on how to approach all of these particular items here, let me ask, are there any questions from the trustees on that extensive memo that staff put together on all of this? It's all clear to you, right? All right, with that then, I would ask, what is your pleasure? How do you wish to address these 8 particular items? And I should also mention, with respect to item 8 on the appointment of someone to represent our state organization with the high school association, I do have a personal recommendation, but you're not honor bound to follow that. So, would you like to hear that?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
that was going to be my question.
Okay. I know both Iris and Tom very well. They're both equally qualified. My personal preference is for Iris to serve in that position. She has extensive experience in her district. She's also well known throughout the state. She's also been involved, believe it or not, with the Little Shell tribe here as well. They're a Little Shell all the way up and down the High Line. So I have some, as I said, background experience with her in that capacity as well, which is just knowing her. That's why I'm recommending her.
Do you have a recommendation on the other?
On the other?
Yeah.
That we approve them both. Both Jennifer and Stephanie are just outstanding individuals. And,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What about the other? What about 3 through 7? Since you serve on our MTSBA,
I would vote.
MTSBA
I would recommend
representative.
approval of all of those items. Thank you for. I didn't go into a lot of detail about it because we've done this in the past. We've typically approved these. They are not controversial, and particularly with respect to the dues estimate, that is not approval of a dues amount at this time. That's just an estimate based on where our finances are, which, by the way, statewide, they are very, very good right now.
Okay.
Would I make a motion or?
Well, the one suggestion would be is that you vote to approve items 1 through 7 as, collectively, and then you can do 8, 9, and 10 individually, or you can do it any other way. It's your choice.
Can I just make one motion? Okay.
Or one motion.
I move that our school district approve of questions 3 through 7, and that we, for question 8, approve Iris Killeagle. For question 9, approve Jennifer Hoffman, and for question 10, approve Stephanie Esch.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any public comment on any of these items? Any public comment? Any public comment? There being none, any other questions or comments from members of the Board of Trustees?
I'd just like to thank you for all of the hard work that you do sitting on this committee, and appreciate your advice and counsel on this.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. All right then. All those in favor of the motion as stated by Trustee Henning signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much, and I will go ahead and submit those votes electronically later this evening. And I think the record that was provided to you noted we had to get this done before the end of July, and since this was our only meeting, this was our only opportunity to do this. So thank you. Moving on to item 9, there were no items removed from the consent agenda for separate actions, so we will move on to item 10, reports, discussion, and policies, beginning with item A, the first reading of the new Family and Consumer Science textbook.
Good evening again, Mr. Chair, members of the board, Superintendent Hoyer. I have Mrs. Frisbee back with us to do the first reading of for approval of the new Family and Consumer Science textbook.
Chair Pro Tem Bronson, Superintendent Hoyer, trustees, and community. Tonight I bring you the first read of a new Family and Consumer Science textbook for Child Development 1-2 course. This book that they've chosen is actually a newer or updated version of what they were currently using. It's an area with Family and Consumer Science. The amount of books out there is limited. They did look at a few, and in the end, they have brought forth for me to bring to you the request to purchase Child Development Early Stages Through Adolescence from Goodhart Wilcox Publishing. If approved, this purchase would include 33 books for CMR, 33 for Great Falls High, and at this point, CMR is not currently, or Paris is not currently teaching it, so we wouldn't purchase books at this moment. That purchase would also include all of the online resources for the teachers, which does include exam view, so it gives them the ability to have some of those testing questions. The cost would be $8,244.28, and that would come from the secondary curriculum budget. The book will be available in my office for appointment only. So on both our website and here, we'll have posted, they can call the curriculum office, and Dennis Martin, my assistant, will schedule them a time to come in and see me. I'll be honest, the book was supposed to arrive Friday for review. So fingers crossed that it's here in the next couple days. We do, with only having one board meeting, we actually get some extra time for that to be on review. So if anybody calls, we'll make sure that we circle back with them if the book has not arrived. Unfortunately, all the teachers are not in town, or their books are in their classrooms that are actually in the hallways, so their rooms can be cleaned. So we had to reach out and ask for an additional book for review.
Thank you very much. Do members of the Board of Trustees have any questions for Mrs. Frisbee? If not, thank you very much, and we'll look forward to consideration of this at a meeting in August. Thank you.
Thank you.
We will now move on to item 10B, the first reading of board policies 1401, 2151, and 5324. Mrs. Hoyer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair Pro Tem, and as thank you right out of the gate to the committee who meets to go over policies and review and bring this forward. They have worked really hard. Allie and Sherry have worked hard to provide us a structure over the next year, so you should see a fairly steady flow of chunks versus having 11 at a time. Our goal is to do 3 to 5 at a time, so your late night reading doesn't become so, because sometimes it's not as exciting for everybody as it is for me. So we'll take a look this time at 1401, 2151, and 5324 for your first read. The first one we'll look at, 1401, is records available to the public. If you look down through this, you will notice there are strikeouts on line 22 through 26, and then you will see the new wording that's coming through MTSBA. But really what it does is it removes vague references to amounts, and it allows us to put those numbers in as outlined by statute. And that statute that we're looking for specifically is MCA 2-17-1102. And then we also added that to the definition. So if you take a look at that, if you have any questions, let me know. But it does put the amount on it of $25 an hour as we are gathering all this information. People often wonder how often this happens. Twice today, I've received a request for public records. Forwarded one of them to Allie. Last week I forwarded one to Jeff. Many times they are purchasing type questions where companies are trying to amass large amounts of data on purchase requisitions. What are we buying from vendors? Looking for patterns so they can advertise to us for things. And then we had one to Mr. Williams that I believe was the person was interested in a video. So we redirected them that way as well. The next one is 2151. This is interscholastic activities. If you take a look at lines 18 and 19, it talks about a syllabus, which is actually the outline provided through the coaching books that Mr. Henneberg does with his coaches. So it's part of that annual coaching meeting that he has with them. Also, you'll notice that there are some changes to line 26 and 27. We are striking that parents assume all risks for injuries resulting from participation to just that parents are aware that there are risks that are inherent in participating in interscholastic activities. You will also notice that there is a link to air quality restrictions, that's policy 8130, as well as activity trips, which is 8132. And then the final one is some clarification of wording that is coming through the state and through MTSBA. And it is personnel policy 5324. It's an addition for us, and it clarifies jury duty, witness subpoenas, and then actual leave with public office. We usually found this enshrined within our CBAs that we have, but this actually then pulls it out of the leave policy and calls it out specifically within policy as well. So these are the three special types of leave that we have. We did some cross-referencing to the forms we fill out. Well, wanted to be sure that language was identical between the two as to limit confusion. And so this is a new policy for you to take a look at moving forward. And with that, that wraps up all of the policies in this report.
Mrs. Hoyer, can we just point out really quick, we did make a alteration to the language since the policy committee on line 12 through 14, I believe it was. So pay close attention to that while you reread it. We had to make sure that it made sense with the forms. Otherwise, it was duplicating itself. And we did that last week. I wanted you to be aware of it as well.
We sat side by side with Sherry, and one of us played the role of an employee trying to fill out the form without the policy in front of us, and then we put the policy and just made sure that that language was consistent and filled.
And that's for this last one.
That's for this last one. Yep. If you're interested in seeing the form, we have those available as well.
Thank you very much. Do any of the board members have any questions for Mrs. Hoyer regarding this report? If none, Mrs. Hoyer, thank you very much. And at this time, we'll move on to discussion committee reports and comments from members of the Board of Trustees. Trustee Thompson.
Well, I just want to thank the whole team for looking into the honoring spaces for Jan Cahill and Ken Maddox. It is surprising that it has already been 5+ years, but they both were really amazing members of our community. So I look forward to seeing what you come up with. And then I also just applaud that you're looking into talking with local legislators to look for improvements to support schools evaluating safety procedures to keep our students as safe as possible.
Thank you. Trustee Henning.
As Superintendent Hoyer mentioned, Valley View is getting a new fire alarm system upgrade. It's been noisy, and those poor guys are having to work around all the hands kids running around and being in the halls. And we mostly keep to our room, so we're out of the way. But it's looking good, and so it'll be exciting because the old one was old. And then just leading into that, the engineers are working super hard, pulling everything out of classrooms. The halls are cluttered, but the rooms are getting squeaky clean and waxed and ready for the new school year. And then I had the pleasure of attending the Janicki groundbreaking on Friday. I got to bring my husband and sons. It was a lot of fun. I think my boys maybe were the youngest ones there, but they thought it was mighty cool. My oldest brought his camera. He took some pictures. I think he took a video of the actual groundbreaking, and they thought it was cool for, you know, being their age and what they understood of it. But, you know, one day I told them they can tell their kids they were there. But thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Sunshine.
Thank you to Mrs. Hoyer for giving us that update on the activity in the buildings all around. The community's always talking about what are we doing here, what are we doing there, and it's always a buzz, and it shows that we're just doing all sorts of things during the summer and getting it done. And it's after the forest, so those teachers are going to be in on those freshly waxed floors here pretty soon, pulling their stuff out of there. So, and I hope that all the admin, you guys are catching your breath and having some good summer reflection.
And I just wanted to shift gears again to bring you back to the School Boards Association. If you are on the MTSBA listserv, you've probably received an email this afternoon from Lindsay Ford, who is our new Director of Advocacy. It's just a notification that the state commission that's looking at the funding formula is getting close to wrapping up its work. The MTSBA board feels pretty strongly that it's not just the organizations that the commission needs to hear from. They need to hear from individual trustees. And so if you are so disposed, Lindsay is providing everyone a packet of information. A lot of it's similar to informational reports I've provided to the board previously. And if you are, again, so disposed, feel free to approach the commission as an individual trustee, speaking on behalf of it, if, again, you wish to do it. And if you have any questions about the camp's proposal or anything related to it, by all means, get a hold of me and I'll be happy to walk you through that. I also, again, want to thank Mr. Cubbage for attending all our meetings. Sometimes you're the only public here, so thank you for coming. And Commissioner Wilson from the city. We always appreciate a representative of the city here as well. So thank you for coming this evening. Please note on the calendar that this is our only meeting this month. We will go back to a 2-meeting per month schedule in August with regular meetings on August 3rd and the 17th. The policy committee now, as you are probably aware, is attempting to meet once a month, usually the first Wednesday of the month. And of course, those are always advertised well in advance if anyone wishes to sit in on the conversations there. And then finally, please also note we will have a work session on Thursday evening, August 13th, as we get ready to adopt our formal budget for the coming year. And with that, unless there is anything else to come before the Board of Trustees this evening, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, we are adjourned. Thank you for coming.